We should harmony by. Ready?
I'm editing it tonight.
Ready? TJ, ready?
Try not to do too many minutes.
Ryan. Hello and welcome to the Invincible Podcast.
Probably the best superhero podcast in the universe.
I am one of your hosts, Bill.
And I'm your other host of two, TJ.
Right. Ryan is not with us today because today we are recording the second volume, review of The Astounding Wolf-Man. So
Is it a review? Yeah, it's a review.
Yeah.
We're reviewing it, but it's not.
We're not grading it. We're just
the review is that it's excellent.
Right. We're recapping, I guess, what happens in it. So
yeah.
So last time we recorded it, it was maybe,
I want to say it was November or December.
Yeah, it was a little bit ago. It was a little bit ago. So it was very nice to delve back into it, and very consistent, I think. Overall, it interestingly enough,
definitely got into the story in volume 2.
Yeah, a lot less exposition. Like the first one was a lot of stuff, and this one, honestly, the first issue there's like hardly any dialogue in it other than the first couple of pages. But interesting enough, did you notice what were some things that you noticed about it right off the bat? Like if I could be like, TJ, what's one thing that stands out to you? One thing in a sentence. Go.
I'm just not sure what you're really looking for.
I don't know. In difference of art, in writing style, in length, in all that stuff. What do you think?
Are you talking about FCO?
I'm talking about FCO.
Okay. Let's talk about FCO.
Okay. So who is FCO, TJ?
FCO is a colorist who has done Invincible before, which oddly enough, he's done Conquest.
He did Conquest.
That
is, in my opinion, the best art. Color, ink, like everything is Conquest. The shading in it, everything about it, and you can totally tell that in here it stands out. It's so vibrant. And then his brother, I think, because it's FCO and somebody else, right? You're gonna hear some pages turning. FCO and Ivan Plasencia. So, and he did pretty much all of it. Yeah, FCO was a colorist throughout all of it. So back is Cliff Rathburn, who did the entire volume 1, so the first 7 issues. This, interestingly enough, because I was reading the comics, and the volume 2 has issues 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 of Wolfman, and issue, I think, 57
it is
Invincible.
57 of Invincible.
Yeah. So the first part of the 2-part crossover is actually, the crossover is in this volume, but the first part takes place in Invincible, and then the second part closes out in Wolfman, which is why I had the comics, and then I was like, I just had to remember when I was reading through it.
You're saying the first part of this volume takes place in Invincible?
No, the first part of the 2-part Wolfman crossover happened in Invincible.
Yes.
And then the second part finished in Wolfman.
Which is, I think, is the third issue of this second volume.
Yeah, it's like right off the bat.
Yeah.
So.
Our first issue, we start, obviously, in Wolfman.
So before we delve in, really want to reiterate, you guys, we're fans of Kirkman in general, and this is part of the Invincible universe. So please, you can write us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com.
You can find us on Facebook. Message us there at Invincible Podcast. Just search Invincible Podcast. We're there. You can find us on Stitcher. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on SoundCloud, YouTube.
Yeah. You said Twitter, right?
Twitter too.
Yeah, and Twitter. So, write in your feelings, because we haven't gotten much feedback about specifically the crossover issues and the episodes that we do here where, when it's an off week, when we don't have a new reader, when the girls aren't available, because everybody loves the new readers. We do too. That's okay. I like listening to them as well. But, give us your feedback on what you guys think of this, on maybe what other issues you'd like us, or what other titles maybe you'd like us to go over and talk about. Maybe if it's even something that we haven't talked about before. But would love to hear your guys' feedback on Wolf-Man, on what you think of Jason Howard's art, because it stands out, especially, FCO being a part of the team for the second volume as well. So, TJ, if you want to kick us off. So
yeah, well, the last time we saw Wolf-Man was, just to do a quick recap of Volume 1, we met this guy who's a normal guy. He's a little more than normal. He's kind of a millionaire. He's got a big job. He has a wife and daughter. It opens up with him getting bit by a werewolf. He becomes a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
He befriends a vampire who teaches him how to hone his powers, how to use his powers for good.
And then the end of it.
It basically ends with Zachariah killing his wife.
And him being framed. Well, not framed, but
for murder of his wife.
Right.
And it ends with his daughter walking in and seeing him, standing or kind of holding her body, and it looks, after Zachariah had already left, Zachariah being the vampire, had already left, and obviously that's trying. That's
So, issue 8, the cover of it is Wolf-Man being very afraid of someone standing behind him that looks like another
mysterious figure,
another werewolf. All you see is the eyes. But so it starts with the funeral, and there are these two special agents. Now, these guys here, so it's Hunter is the black gentleman, and then the white guy, who I'm not too sure what his name is.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever really say his name.
And they've never been in anything else, right? This is the first time that they've been in anything Invincible.
I believe so.
Because I've been pretty adamant with staying up on like the new reader episodes too, and like going through Invincible in general, and I haven't seen them. So essentially, it's exactly what we had talked about. The first issue kind of goes over
where we left off.
What happened, and
it's basically these two agents that are at the funeral that are kind of in charge of tracking down Wolf-Man and bringing him to justice. And as they're telling the story about everything that this man did, he killed his wife, everything, it's actually showing what actually happened with Zachariah killing his wife and Wolf-Man trying to stop him, and then the daughter walking in while Wolf-Man is over her mother's dead body.
Yeah. So, and then it's essentially Gary wasn't even able to go to his wife's funeral, which sucks. It's so tragic. This whole story is super tragic. Like, this volume really gets into what makes Wolf-Man good, which is him on the run. You know what I mean? I think he's the only Invincible like character, especially a main character, a hero that's like not good, essentially, in the eyes of the public now. You know what I mean? Like, he's a criminal. He's essentially like Batman before he was teamed up with the GCPD.
I mean, in the first volume, he was good. And then he lost that with everything that happened in the end.
And that was all like the build-up. So this issue kind of goes pretty quick. Gary's getting a fake ID. He gets stood up. He's going somewhere. He's traveling somewhere.
Right.
And
well, he says, I know you're a millionaire. It's going to cost you a lot more than what I originally said. And then they basically tell him that they're going to pretty much kill him either way. And they pull guns on him and says, "Give me all your money." Gary ends up getting away, hits him with the bag, and gets shot in the side, but still makes it away. He jumps on the roof of a semi-truck.
The back of a semi-truck.
Right.
So he's kind of hanging on, going for a ride. And he's on there for a while, it seems like. This is where you see FCO, like, the coloring. Because his face hitting the pavement looks awesome. And the color, like, look at the different shades of red in the blood. Like, it looks awesome and fantastic. But what do you think of this? So here we have Gary.
This was pretty badass.
Yeah.
He's smart. He knows.
Well, he knows he's going to survive it. You know what I mean? We didn't know. I didn't know that
but could you do what he's about to do right now? Like, I don't know.
No.
He jumped off the back of a semi on purpose, hit the ground, face smacked against the pavement. He's, like, practically bouncing in the air.
His leg is broken. You see his bones sticking out of Look at his bones.
His back is completely bent backwards.
His brain is showing.
He fell off the side of the road, off the side of the highway, and it's just a full page with 5 different panels of him just laying there, still broken, and all it is here's another.
So is he dead here or no?
No, he's not dead. He's dying. He's like inches away from death.
Oh, he needed to wait for the moon.
That's why he's smart.
Right.
He knew that no matter how bad he got fucked up, if he could survive it, he would only need to survive it to the full moon.
Right. Right. So we get Wolfman in all of his glory, and there's no dialogue from the first page, for the second page on, essentially. So it's just Wolfman, and he's traveling somewhere. He's on the run. And he jumps on a truck. So now we get Chloe. And what's his name? Dunford. Yep. So he's obviously a caretaker. They're still in the mansion. They're still in the Hampton estate. But she's essentially cutting the pictures up of Gary off the family. Like, she resents him because that's all she knows is he killed her mom. And then we get more of the agents in the actual Wolfman lair. Yep. Where do we leave off on this?
On the lair?
So people know that Chloe is the daughter of Wolfman.
Right.
Because people know that the Wolfman lair...
They know that Gary is Wolfman.
Right, obviously
everyone
he killed
knows
his
that
wife.
Gary is Wolfman. Yeah.
Does that ever get brought up?
What do you mean?
No. I mean, like, Chloe... Like, them being connected to Gary.
Chloe and Gary being connected?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, we haven't gotten there yet, but later on in this issue, it'll talk about how her grades are slipping and how they understand, like the teachers understand, but it's kind of getting out of hand right now. She needs to start doing better. So, yeah, everybody knows that they are connected.
Okay.
That they're, related in everything that happened.
Right. And then we get the connection, which I thought was awesome, of where he's going. Like, the agents kind of follow his trail where there's sightings of him. People obviously know him because he's been on the road for a while, though, if he's able to grow a beard.
Yeah,
werewolf or not.
The truck that he jumped on, someone else saw him, and the agents go to that spot and say that they saw him, and they're kind of tracking him down.
So Hunter knows where he's going. He's like, it's so simple, I know where he's going. He's going to the spot where he was mauled originally. There's kids playing in the same field that he was bleeding out in, and it's essentially the first issue. He camps out, and the elder brood finds him. So he's sitting there as Gary, transforms into Wolfman as someone from the distance says, I know who you are. You searched for me, but it's I who have found you. I caught your scent the moment you set foot in my forest. You were chosen to carry my legacy, chosen to spread my influence. You were never meant to share my presence. Why did you seek me out? And then Gary, Wolfman, says, I want you to teach me how to kill a vampire. So look at the coloring. Again, it's so, like, the actual detail is very, very, well, there's not much detail. It's simple, but FCO adds so much more texture to the coloring in this. Like, with the fire and the lighting and how it hits them.
Yep.
And then you get the braided Elder Brood.
So,
Issue 9 cover.
Issue 9, yeah, the next issue is just a bloody hand over a newspaper that it's basically, well, it's not even a newspaper. It's just like a wanted ad for Gary Hampton, who's at large, and then there's bullets on the ground.
What kind of bullets, TJ?
They look a little silverish.
They look silverish, right? And they're casings. We delve into a lot of the lore in this volume, which I really liked. With like the Elder Brood
kind of tell you the
talking to him.
rules, a little more of the rules.
Yeah.
Being a werewolf. So the very first page of this issue, we get another kind of callback to Invincible.
Damien Darkblood.
Which is a play on a...
Rorschach.
Damien Darkblood?
Yeah.
Rorschach?
He's a play. His character
right.
is a... Yeah.
But his name is Damien Darkblood, which is a play on a Teen Titans villain in the DC universe. Damien Dark is actually a Teen Titans villain who's human. If you watch the show Arrow, they did in my opinion, terrible portrayal of this character. They gave him like weird powers. It wasn't great, but I thought that this was kind of cool.
That's him?
What?
The Black Arrow or whatever?
No.
No?
I don't think you watched Arrow up until this point.
What season was he in?
Third or fourth season.
Oh no, he was the villain in the first season, I think.
Yeah,
that's who I'm thinking of.
It's definitely not him. I know who you're talking about. You're talking about, I don't know. He becomes the new Ra's al Ghul. Like,
oh, he does.
Yeah.
He's actually yeah.
That's not good.
Wait, so Arrow is or is not good anymore?
In my opinion, all of the WB related DC shows are not good. I've stopped watching all of them.
Have you watched any of Supergirl?
I watched the first couple episodes, and it's a little too girly for me.
But that's when it was still on ABC, and then it went over to CW, and I heard that it got much better. I haven't seen anything.
Well, I heard when it first came out that it was amazing, and I couldn't get into it. So I don't know.
You couldn't get into her.
Well, yeah,
but if it was Superman, you'd be able to get right in there, right?
Hey.
You'd be all like, "Oh,
yeah, I mean,
don't do that."
Let's get back into it.
All right,
Damien Darkblood. We go to his investigations office, and Chloe is there, and so this guy, this Damien Darkblood, we've seen him in Invincible when he was trying to figure out who killed the Guardians of the Globe, and then when Omni-Man came right out, and said it to Invincible, they got into a big fight. Obviously, he left. There was really no point for this character anymore. Mm-hmm. And even issues later, he came back in and was like...
he's a joke.
Yeah,
he's a joke character, yeah.
In Invincible, he is, yeah. He kind of came back into Invincible, and he was like, hey, I'm trying to track down this and this and this with the Guardians of the Globe. And someone was like, we already know who killed the Guardians of the Globe. It was Omni-Man. And then that's kind of the last time we really see him in mm-hmm. Invincible.
Now, reading this... Who do you think that she's looking for, naturally?
Oh, she's looking for Zachariah.
You thought naturally that she was looking for Zachariah?
I thought naturally she was looking for Zachariah, yeah.
What? How? You don't think that she was looking for Gary?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
That's the whole twist at this, because the whole time I was thinking, because I forgot all of it. I remember her training and stuff like that, but I thought that she was still looking for Gary.
Yeah, I guess so. Like the first time reading it, yeah.
She's being a dick to Dunford, dude.
Yeah. I mean, you hated her in the first volume. I understood her actions in the first volume. In this one, yeah, you can see that she's starting to, I mean, again, look at it from her perspective.
Yeah, I guess I don't.
She doesn't have her mother or her father. She lost both of them at the same time. You know what I mean? And and she's pissed. She's upset.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about what Dunford has to say or being calm or anything. She wants to take action. Yeah.
All right, turn the page. Wha-bam. Another beautiful...
Turn the page, wash your hands. Turn the page,
wash your hands. What is that? Don't tell me. That's Rocco's Modern Life.
Yes, it is.
Oh, man. That's because Filbert was a comic... He was talking about comic books.
He loved comic books.
Oh my God, wasn't that like one of the first things?
Rocco hung out in the attic of a comic book shop, and every time he would come downstairs,
holy shit, dude! Oh my God, I forgot about that. He'd have stacks. Wouldn't he have like stacks of comics too?
He was a huge comic book fan.
Oh my God.
Anyways, Rocco's Modern Life. So out of nowhere, we turn the page and we see
the Elder
attacking Wolf-Man, saying, defend yourself. And then Wolf-Man is like, what are you doing? Like, he's
leaping around.
The page again, and it's just more fighting. He's saying, you're talking too much. Fight me, basically.
Yeah. He says, this is what you want. This is exactly how a vampire would, be. It would be what is it?
Unapologetic. No mercy.
No. What's the word I'm looking for? Come on.
I don't know.
You wouldn't be... he's trying to catch him off by surprise. He's trying to catch him by surprise.
Right.
Essentially. Which is cool is that it shows this one panel of... so the Elder Brood is like, what would you say? 1, 2, 3... like 5 times bigger than Wolfman.
Yeah, he's gigantic.
Like, fucking huge. He is fucking scary looking. He looks more like a bear, like a werebear.
He's got a little battle beast going on with the braids, and he looks a little battle beasty-ish.
Well, he looks like if Battle Beast lived in Jamaica for a long time, because Battle Beast has like big Nordic braids, which are manly, and these ones look kind of like
a little less, but
There's beads in them. There's beads in them. So, but. He's gigantic, and what's cool is that the Elder Brood says impressive. And it looks like he's looking at because Gary got him. Wolfman got him.
The Elder Brood,
and he's looking at his blood like he hadn't seen it in a long time. Look at that face. If you are he says impressive. He's seeing his blood, and he says if you are to defeat a vampire, you will have to be at the peak of your abilities. You have passed the first test. We will continue this later, and he just disappears. So their first interaction was a fight. There was literally no conversation. He came in, fought him,
hit hard,
and
ended.
Left. This, God, I love Mecha Maid so much, dude. And I forgot about all this.
So this is actually kind of the first time that we see... I think this is the only time in this entire volume that we see the Actioneers.
No, we see him at the end, but this is the only time that we see Mecha Maid. So it's Mecha Maid's daughter saying, I can't do this, I'm scared, mommy. And Mecha Maid is saying, I need you to do this. They don't know about you. You can distract them. Don't worry, I can shut you down before they touch you. So she's real, apparently. Or maybe she's letting her think that she's real.
Yeah, I think
because
that's
she's like a
what
hologram. That means they can't touch her.
Right.
Regardless. But she's using her daughter hologram as a distraction to get away, which then ends how, TJ? How does that end?
Not good.
No, she gets chopped in half by the big actioneer. Do you remember his name?
I always want to say Sergeant Superior.
No, Sergeant Superior is the first one that
I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen the Actioneers. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into it, but so we got Zachariah. We should keep a closer eye on her in the future. So do they know that she's going to come back? Like eventually? If Zachariah is saying we should keep a closer eye on her in the future, meaning Mecha Maid, why don't they just destroy her completely?
I don't know.
Maybe
he has plans for her.
Maybe. Again, I forget everything, so then we get this dude, Hunter is his name. Gary Hampton, you are under arrest, and it's Gary digging through the trash for food, and this guy starts shooting at him.
Yeah.
This is cool. This is really cool.
He tracks him down because he pretty much realizes I know where he's going. So he's going.
He's there.
He goes to obviously the place where he first got mauled. That's why he went there.
That is why he went there.
Right.
And that's why Hunter is there. So
No, I'm saying that's why Hunter went there.
Right.
He knew
where he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knew where he was going.
So this kind of plays out like how I would expect a really cool, tense scene in a movie to happen, where Gary's running from him, and it's still daytime, and he's like, "Come on!" Like waiting for the sun to go down, and what?
He can go into wolf mode.
Not when he's not wearing his costume. His costume harnesses the.
Right.
Do you want to go into it? I'm what?
Your face.
Hashtag.
Your face.
Hashtag. I'm right. I'm right. Give it to me.
That's what it is. Yeah. Hashtag I was right. I'm right. Give it to me. So
the sun goes down. He says, "Oh crap!" And then Wolfman
lights him up. Lights him the fuck up.
Oh no, I skipped a page. But yeah, he does. Well, he gets shot first. So this Hunter guy, is literally dodging Wolfman, who you just saw was fighting an Elder Brood, no problem, and this guy's dodging Wolfman, no problem.
Right, and he said, I mean, as they're fighting, Hunter is shooting him, and Wolfman is saying, it burns. And
As
then
he got
Hunter
shot, yeah.
says, silver bullets. Figured if silver didn't hurt you, they were still bullets. Turns out that Wolfman is susceptible to.
Yeah, good to know you've got a weakness. So they didn't even know
Silver
that. He was just
bullets.
kind of playing it by ear.
Yep. And then you turn the page, and Wolfman fucks him up.
Well, okay, so he says, "How is it you're so fast?" Wolfman says this, and Hunter says, "Trade secret." And then Wolfman says, "Can't dodge me forever." And then you turn the page,
Like,
and it
rips a hole through him.
Well, rips him in half.
Yeah.
Rips him the fucking half. Look at that blood, dude. Oh my god, it's so good.
It's like in a circle. It's insane.
Yeah.
So he's just guts everywhere, just rips him open.
Well, this doesn't help Gary's case because Hunter talks about this once he comes back because he essentially, Gary says, I figured you were fast. I thought you were superpowered
He's like, I'm
too.
sorry, I didn't
think I was going to kill you.
I figured you were superhuman. And he has no bottom half to his body. It's literally just his top half and then just guts hanging out.
And then the next panel.
I mean, he's lying on the ground. It looks like he's writhing in pain. And as then Wolfman kind of kneels down beside his body, looking, very apologetic. And then you turn the page and bam.
Well, Hunter says you see his hand in the panel, and Wolfman's surprised face, and Hunter says
you see his hand holding a gun.
Yeah, and Hunter says, "Cry me a river," and blasts him, Wolfman, in the face with a silver bullet. Then he said, "Did you really think they'd send a normal agent after you?" And
this is cool. He said that they used to call me Agent Invincible until that kid came along.
Now you can just call me Hunter. In our case, that name seems appealing. So his body is reattaching itself. And then there's a panel of him saying, and this I was saying this doesn't help Gary's case because it shows that he's kind of unhinged a little bit when he's in wolf form, like brutal. And Hunter says, "Tell me, is that what it was like when you killed your wife? You tell her you were sorry too?" And he's tucking his shirt in. That's covered. I love that. It's just a little thing. Like, he's a professional agent. He was torn in half. He's covered in blood, and he's just tucking his shirt in and taking a second to tuck him in.
Yep.
And he keeps fighting Wolfman, and it seems like, Wolfman has a silver bullet in his head, in his skull.
Yep.
So he's not going anywhere. He's not going to win. And the Elder Brood
rips him in half.
Again. For the second time in less than, what would you say, maybe 5 minutes?
2 pages?
2 pages ago.
3 pages.
3 pages ago he was ripped in half. But this way he's ripped vertically in half. Mm-hmm. And then the Elder Brood throws one half away from him. He says this will keep him busy.
Yep.
And Gary even said, "I'm hurt bad. Silver bullets, I didn't even know." And the Elder Brood kind of takes him along. So, the next scene.
Yeah. Is Chloe back at the estate. She's, pumping some iron.
Did you think she's doing that for tennis?
I don't actually.
You think she's got other...
I think there are other things. I'm not sure, but we'll find out.
Let's find out.
Okay. Damien Darkblood shows up at her estate. She's like, "Well, how did you even get in here? We have security." And he doesn't even really address it and just says, "I apologize for the intrusion. I assumed you'd want to know right away." And then in bold letters he says, "I've found him."
Which is really great misdirection in timing this, because every time that their meeting is after a scene with Wolfman. Because otherwise it would show a scene with Zachariah and then the next panel, and then you'd be like, "Oh wait, is she looking for Zachariah?" And she's definitely looking for Wolfman. This is all awesome. So the next little bit we get is the Elder Brood pulling out the bullets from Wolfman and Gary, and he's saying that he's never felt anything like this. And the Elder Brood says something interesting. He says, "Certain metals are bad for our kind, and not
so
just
it's not
silver.
just silver. It could be multiple different kinds,
right.
However it may be, whichever one.
Not all of our weaknesses are so public. Silver is the worst. Had you become man again with the silver still embedded, your wounds would have remained. The healing nature of the transformation would have been blocked," which is cool.
Yeah.
he's got. I mean, that's a big weakness.
Right.
If he has a little sliver of silver in him, and he thinks that he can transform,
it's going
and
to stay
heal
there.
and transform back, he won't heal. He'll transform back to Wolfman and be fucked. Still.
So just to kind of recap what we know about Wolfman, what we found out in the first volume was, so when he gets fucked up, he has to, when he reverts back to human, he's healed. If he reverts back to Wolfman, he's healed. So that's kind of playing into, if it's silver, it doesn't work. So in this point, he's completely fucked up from Hunter. He's got the silver bullets in him, he's got blood everywhere, and he's saying, I really need to turn back. I've lost a lot of blood, and I'm getting lightheaded. And the Elder Brood says, no, you rely on the transformation too much. You have healing abilities in your wolf form that you've neglected. You need to develop them.
Who taught him about the transformation healing?
Zachariah taught him everything.
Which is cool because there are things that Zachariah doesn't know.
Right.
You know, and he's trying to teach him those things, because you can't use the same tactics that you had that the vampire taught you. You know what I mean? Yep. So, which is really cool. So
the Elder Brood says,
you need to develop those.
You need to develop them, and he says, how will I do that? And then the Elder Brood says, the next part of your training. Turn the page, last page of the issue, and he rips a hole in him. There's a lot of guts and blood in this issue. Like, probably more than I've seen in any single issue of probably anything in the
past two issues.
I mean,
past two issues.
Maybe there was a lot of blood in Conquest. Not as much guts in this issue, though.
You know what? Maybe that's why they wanted FCO to do this.
Possibly.
Because if you look at the difference between, and not to talk about his coloring again, but just the difference, it looks like the blood is shiny. You know? Like, he adds so many different layers to the coloring. And not to mention, Ryan, in a previous, I think the last episode said, someone gets a hole punched through him, and he's like, well, who doesn't? So even Wolfman has been, what should we call it, Voltramited? Yeah. Maybe the Elder Brood has a little bit of Voltramite in him or something like that, because it's identical.
Well, I think they're just extremely powerful.
Yeah.
So issue 10.
My favorite issue.
I love the cover of this just because it's simple. It's just like if I were to commission an artist to just do a commission of Zachariah. He's he's outside of a window, a hospital window. You look inside the window and it's got
IV
bags and stuff like that. And he's on the ledge of what appears to be a hospital. Bats everywhere, and he's just kind of like crouching down. I love the way it looks. The buildings in the background are awesome.
So, TJ, if you had no idea what Wolfman was, based off of the last two covers, the bloody hand with the silver bullets, and then this issue, this cover, would you be like, huh, what is that?
Absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
What do you think this
like
cover?
Wolfman with a vampire on the cover, like... Yeah, it definitely sounds like something. Or it would. I feel like it would definitely look like something I would want.
And the art looks badass. Like it doesn't look as like the first issue of Wolfman. The cover, we didn't know what to think. You know what I mean? But looking at this issue, seeing Zachariah with blood all over him, and he's a vampire and he looks badass, but it still kind of looks like that cartoony vibe to it.
Yeah.
This cover, I think, is better than anything that the Invincible, like how we talked about. The Invincible covers, how they're kind of themed, you know what I mean? And they're just like whatever, they're just everybody imposes.
I'm talking. Are you saying
I'm
the
talking
new
about
issues?
the newest, the newest,
the
issues.
newer ones?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were about to say that this cover was better than any cover in Invincible.
No,
which is, I would reach across this table,
right?
And
because the covers at FCO colored, and obviously Ottley.
My favorite issue is a cover that FCO colored, so I guess that's accurate. 63. What's on the cover? Him holding his arm? It's a Conquest issue, and it's him on the ground. His bones are sticking out, and he's just kind of looking up. He's all bruised up. He's just fucked up.
Yeah. You know, FCO, he did Batman. He did a bunch of coloring for.
If you look up FCO,
Death in the Family. He did Batman Endgame. If
you look up FCO and like it, what is it called? I can't remember the website, but you can look up everything that he's ever done. It's outrageous. Mm-hmm. It goes on forever.
So would you say that you'd be able to compare this to Batman? Because you read Batman and you were loving Snyder's stuff. So it was Capullo.
Yeah.
Did Capullo did Death in the Family?
Capullo, yes, did Death in the Family.
So you have Capullo with FCO. I'm curious because I hadn't seen any of that. I wonder if it's like.
I think Greg Capullo is awesome. I'm not sure if FCO did Death in the Family.
He did. I saw it because I looked it up because I knew the coloring was so familiar, and I was like, he had to have done Conquest.
He's done a lot
Conquest.
more Batman than just that. But the art in Death in the Family was awesome. I mean, we won't get too much into it, but it's very heavily Joker, which is, he's got a lot of color to his
personality
to his yes, and his story, just like his weapons and things.
Gotcha.
And it was awesome. It was really, really good.
So kudos on the cover,
Greg Capullo too,
because issue 10, the cover. This might be one of my favorite covers of Wolfman. It just looks very, very cool, and this is one of my favorite issues, which we'll get into.
So it opens up, and because the last issue ended with him with the Elder Brood punching a hole through him, and that's where it takes off. In this one, he's on the ground and he's near death. Basically, he falls to the ground, and he's like very. I mean, the lettering is very small.
Yeah, he says he's dying, and he's got to change back. I've got to change back. And the Elder Brood screams, "No, you have to stay as you are. You rely on the transformation too much," he says again. It's a crutch, a weakness, something that can be exploited. If you, he says, you wish to train me to fight fight a vampire. One with any knowledge will be able to turn your strengths into weakness. You have to be prepared to overcome that. Healing from a wound, like you've just sustained, will drain you. You will revert back to human form, and you will lose consciousness almost immediately. That is when your opponent would strike. Which is exactly what Zachariah would do. Because he knows exactly that's exactly how it would happen.
Loosely, I mean, well, he knows mostly how werewolves work. So he would definitely exploit that.
But this is kind of interesting, though, because I still don't really get it. So he's slowing his heart rate, and he's essentially being able to survive. But what he says, it's on the breathing slow. Let's see here.
Slow your heart rate. It
now quickly before you pass, change to human form before you pass out. And he's like, there, you did it. So he allows him to. Essentially, what he talks about is he needs to be able to survive those moments without transforming because he'll pass out, which is what he did anyways.
He goes into it. He says, telling him, don't change back yet, because if you were to get messed up, you would need this time to get to safety before you would revert back.
Oh, not just laying on the ground.
Form.
So he's gonna.
I mean, obviously, he's not there yet. This is his first time ever doing this.
He just needs to be able to live it.
He even says you're doing great for your first time. But in the future, you would need this time to get to safety before you would revert back to your human form and make yourself vulnerable.
Got it. It was just a little confusing to me, but no, that makes total sense. So then we elsewhere we get Hunter trying to crawl back to his other half, and his partner comes back and knows about his superpowers, knows about him.
I'm sure the whole agency knows about.
Yeah.
I mean, he even said, "Why do you think?" When he was fighting Wolfman, he said, "Why do you think that they sent me?"
Well, he works with Cecil, because Cecil's the one who calls them off at the end of the volume.
Yeah.
Because he believes Gary, and that. So we get
spoiler alert.
Sorry. So later we get more Actioneers, and they are looking for Wolfman.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And they're talking about how hungry they are, too. They keep saying how hungry they are and how they don't know where Zachariah is. Maybe they're looking for Zachariah.
I don't think so.
Oh, no, they're covering their tracks.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they are looking for maybe Wolfman and the Elder Brood.
Yeah, so this is the best part of the issue.
This is one of the best parts of the entire... I love this backstory.
So... All right, we'll go through it first, and I'll give my opinion on it. So we show up to St. Mercy Medical Center. And there's an old man who we don't know lying in a hospital bed. Zachariah appears through the doorway, but also kind of like out of smoke. Is he like appearing there, or is he walking through the doorway? I don't know.
He poofs underneath the doorway,
Yeah.
so you can see the steam coming underneath the doorway, and then he kind of
Yeah, and the old man looks up at him and says, "I made a mistake." Zachariah says, "I can see that." And the old man says, "I've changed my mind." Does the offer... He basically asks...
I want to be turned.
I want to be turned now. And Zachariah says, well, you're of no use to me now.
He says it's too late.
The offer has been rescinded.
Especially because...
Or expired, excuse me. You know being turned will do very little for someone at your age. At this point, I'm sorry to say, you're completely useless to me. Which is a kind of a fucked up thing to say.
Right.
Especially when this man is on his deathbed.
Right, and he says, well, especially who the man is, because who is this man? We have no idea.
Yet.
But
that's... Yeah. So, I mean, no matter who it is,
here's Kirkman...
Save my life. No, you're not any use to me.
Here's Kirkman like... I want to tell this backstory of Zachariah,
exactly.
But I don't
That's
know how
what makes this scene
but
genius.
I don't know how to get into it.
Right.
No, I thought it was kind of lame.
No, I liked this because the whole time that I was reading this, I was thinking this is kind of a cop out just to show Zachariah's backstory, to show his origin and where he came from. But then the way that Kirkman wraps it up made it relevant.
I love the backstory,
which we haven't talked about.
I love the backstory itself. I just don't like the transition into it. And he's like, oh, by the way, your plan. The time is so hard to fill these days. Just tell me. Could you tell me the story again, just to fill the time?
For old time's sake.
For old time's sake, just to fill the time. And Zachariah's like, yeah, let me tell this story, so I have a reason to tell it.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah. It was the summer of 1916. So we get an entire issue dedicated, essentially, to Zachariah's backstory.
Right. So it starts out with him saying that I lost my first wife and child to the fever. He's in the city. He goes to the city to look for work, and there's a shadowy figure with eyes creeping in the background.
With eyes.
He
gets attacked by a vampire.
He says, unbeknownst to me, I was very much in demand with another group whose existence I wasn't aware of. They had been following me the entire day. He gets attacked by a vampire, gets bitten in the neck, and a woman shows up in the back. So he's attacked and bitten by a man, but then a woman shows up and basically makes the decision to turn him. He says that the reason why they decided to turn him was because they had been following him, and said that they thought that he looked intelligent and smart
and organized
and wanted him to lead them.
Well, because now it goes into what this next 2-page splash is, which is awesome.
This is an awesome splash page. Yeah.
Essentially, in a nutshell, it shows what Zachariah thinks the vampire empire is. All going through the ages, and they're romantic and organized, and have this huge underground, like they're gonna take over the world eventually, and come to find out that they're just a bunch of junkies. Like, vampires aren't organized at all. They literally are like, it shows him where he wakes up, and it looks like they're just laying around like they're drug addicts, which is really cool. So he escapes from these people. He even
says that it was actually really easy to escape, especially with me having new powers and not really knowing anything and not having honed my powers. It was really easy to escape
because they didn't either.
Yeah, it shows because they're junkies. They don't invest in themselves, and shows him jumping out of the window and him fighting 4 other vampires, and he still gets away no problem.
So he talks about he went back to his family, whom he didn't tell them about what he was yet. He needed to keep that from her, but he needed blood, and he had the way to get it, which was essentially to become a superhero. And he said, "Who better to drain than the truly wicked? I have to do it to survive. Why not strike out against those who deserve it?" So it shows this costume.
He even has a little costume. And
he has a Batman costume on, dude. He has the bat symbol on his chest.
It's a vampire symbol.
It's close.
I mean, it looks like a vampire cloak.
Look at the utility belt, dude. He's supposed to look kind of like Batman.
Maybe a little bit, but I don't know.
That's exactly what it's supposed to be. Dude.
I don't know.
Tell us what you think.
I think like Darkwing is supposed to look like Batman. I don't think that this is. I don't know.
Darkwing? Oh, from Invincible?
Yes.
Dude, he has a utility belt on. He has a cape. He has a black symbol on his chest.
A lot of superheroes have utility belts. A lot of them.
Yeah, that's what I think, though.
I mean, I definitely agree with the symbol looks a little Batman-ish, but I definitely think I think that the Batman symbol looks vampire-ish at the same time.
Well, then maybe we're both right.
Hmm.
So, it shows him being a hero, and then it shows him what he wanted to do, his plan. So this is Zachariah's plan from the beginning. He turned the Actioneers for this reason, and it's essentially to make a vampire nation that can rule the world and
which
take
is always
over.
Weird to me. I always think about that when you think of vampires. Why haven't they just taken over the world? Why do they have to remain in secret?
Yeah, why do they have to
They're so far above humans. Just take over.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly right. Which they do in that amazing movie. What is it called?
Well, I was going to say in that amazing book because the movie wasn't as amazing as the book.
The book?
They do that they try to do that in
something Stalkers.
No, Cirque du Freak. I was going to say.
Oh, Cirque du Freak.
Amazing saga, book saga.
Cirque du Freak is a teen series.
Yes,
and that me and TJ read.
We read the shit out of that thing.
We read the shit out of it, and it is fucking amazing.
Listen, it being a teen book, that means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Read that book.
That's not what I was talking about, though. I was not talking about that movie. The movie was terrible. What is it? It has the one. It's got the guy from Jurassic Park in it. It's where humans are almost extinct. Like, and they've used all the blood up and stuff like that. They farm people. It's vampires rule the world essentially.
Yeah.
William Dafoe is in it. He was a vampire and he was cured by light. Remember, the only way to cure yourself of vampirism is to like go out into the sun and then go into water right away.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that movie
William
called?
Dafoe was also in the Cirque du Freak movie.
That is really weird.
All right, so back to the story. We go back to the hospital after he tells the story, and it goes to Zachariah. Finishing up his story, he says there have been bumps in the road along the way, but for the most part, the plan remains. And I am closer today than I was yesterday. And he says, I'm sorry you can't be a part of it. And the old man says, not as sorry as I am. Zachariah says, don't be so sure. And the old man says, if you can't turn me, could you at least ...
That's why I'm here. And he strangles the guy and kills him.
And then as Zachariah is leaving the hospital, he turns back and says, goodbye, son. I will always love you. So, yeah, I mean, the timeline does actually kind of match up.
1916, and it shows a panel of his wife who's pregnant with a child. So this man...
His second wife, because his first wife and child died of the plague. He got remarried and had a kid in 1916.
The summer of 1916.
So, and so that whole... So, again, this was... I felt like I agreed with you. It was kind of a cop-out. It was just some way to show his backstory.
Right.
But then Kirkman made it relevant and made it awesome by making that man his son and him strangling him to death. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was not prevalent to the story at all, other than his backstory. We didn't need his son there. It was a cool way to do it.
The other thing that I don't really care about is his actual plan. Like, I always thought it was going to be more nefarious. Like, he had some, like... very specific thing of like infiltrating the White House and turning the president of the United States into a vampire that he can control.
It's very much your typical vampire plan.
Yeah, we're gonna make a vampire empire and
Blade.
Yeah, Blade. Karen. Yeah, Blade
Never
1.
have second thoughts about us. So we go back to the woods, back to
with the elder.
Gary and the elder, and Gary finally wakes up. Who's been out for hours.
And he asks a very interesting question. He asks the Elder Brood, do you ever turn to your human form? And the Elder Brood says, that is something you lose with time. It is said we all eventually become mindless beasts, but I do not believe all the stories our kind tell. So throughout the entirety of this story, we don't know who the Elder Brood is. He's only in his wolf form.
Right.
So and apparently he can't turn back because you lose it over time. So maybe that's what he's referring to. Which I would love if this series was still ongoing because there's so much more that it could delve into.
Now, I mean, you and I always talk about, especially with rereading. We love that we're doing this because we're rereading it because we don't really remember. The last time we read these were 7 years ago.
Longer ago.
Are we sure that we don't see that later on in the comic? Because I can't remember. We don't?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Because I remember now how it ends.
Okay.
And
I remember how it ends. I just don't.
I mean, that's not necessarily true, though. Maybe we don't know because the only time we don't ever see Gary really again, like in Invincible.
Yeah.
You know, and in other crossovers and stuff like that, we just see him as Wolfman.
Well, I'm talking about the Elder Brood.
Oh.
If we don't see him turn back.
That I don't remember.
Sure?
That I don't know.
Yeah. So, stay tuned for Wolfman Volume 3 and Wolfman Volume 4.
Thank God we have terrible memories.
I think that makes it more interesting, though, because we're kind of reading this along with you guys if you don't remember. You know, so we go back to somewhere else. Again, we're on the street, and Chloe's there talking on the phone with Damien Darkblood, the investigator. She opens up the door to the place where
she knocks
Damien,
on the door.
knocks on the door and to the place where Damien Dark sent her, saying because he said that I found him. So she knocks on the door of the house of the person that he found, and opening the door is
none
Zachariah.
other than Zachariah. My father has lost his mind. He can't control himself anymore. He murdered my mother. I want you to help me kill him. And Zachariah doesn't correct her at all, obviously, because he's a fucking coward. And he goes along with it. Look at, if you will, look at this panel of Chloe crying in the rain. Look at the rain, how it like
sparkles off
of her, and her makeup is running.
Look at the cab in the background and how like distorted it is because of the rain.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's Jason Howard.
Yep.
Too, because those lines are distorted. It's not the coloring. It's like the way that it actually looks like rain is bouncing off of her and stuff.
Right. And issue 11.
I remember this cover.
Which is
I remember how
issue
fucking
57.
Excited we were.
It's actually not issue 11, but it's
part 11.
Yeah. So this is issue 57 of Invincible, and it's just Invincible uppercutting Wolfman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you remember how excited we were about this crossover?
Yeah.
I remember when it was happening.
Because we were reading Wolfman prominently, and obviously Invincible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this was very cool. So, this is like, I kind of feel like the girls doing a new reader in this one. It's cool to go back to this moment, especially when like revisiting characters that I've loved. Like, this is like the best part of Invincible, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. The characters are so good. We get Kid Omni-Man in this. We get as a kid, his character was so good. We get my favorite character, Rexplode, is in this. Yeah.
So we can maybe speed through this one because the girls reviewed it in their new reader.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we'll go through this quickly. We'll stick to the Wolfman portion, but it basically goes into it opens up with Invincible at the layer of the new Guardians of the Globe. They don't have a name yet because they just broke off with Cecil, and they just had a big split. And
Robot is working on the trying to figure out what the thing is that
Invincible broke in the previous
the little camera thing that was from...
basically the last issue of Invincible before this one ended with like a ball barreling towards them, and when Invincible went to go grab it, it exploded. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I know that someone is watching me. So he's having Robot investigate who is watching him.
Right. So this is cool because this comic is an Invincible comic book, and it is illustrated by Ryan Ottley.
Right.
The second part of this is a
Wolfman comic book.
Is a Wolfman comic book illustrated by Jason Howard.
Right.
So we get to see how Ryan Ottley would draw Wolfman and how Jason Howard would draw Invincible.
Yep.
And the other Guardians and stuff, because they all they all show up. So that is a really cool aspect of it, but essentially it is
I
So
swear,
what?
I like Ottley and FCO, man. This is
Oh, it's
oh my gosh,
yeah.
it's so clean. It's so clean. So yeah, we go to the Pentagon, because Invincible at this point it was shortly after, this is issue 57, shortly after issue 50 where Cecil and Invincible had a big falling out. So Invincible is at the New Guardians of the Globe, or the New Guardians layer, saying, "Robot, keep working on it, but I think I know who's been
Right.
watching me." So he goes to the Pentagon to address Cecil because he thinks it's Cecil.
And
He starts fucking shit up.
he starts fucking Reanimate up.
Yeah.
And this is cool because Cecil screams out of nowhere, "What?" Because he's not there. And he says, "You're going to have to excuse me a minute, Agent Hunter." So,
Yeah,
there's
from Wolfman.
Yep. So long story short, he says, "I found the orb. I saw that you were recording me. And it wasn't me," and all that other stuff. But then Agent Hunter is saying, "What about my problem, Cecil? The subject could be on the move. He could be anywhere." And then Cecil, very much out of character right now, I think, says, "Mark, I'm going to ask you for a favor."
Well, it's not out of character.
Well, they're not friends. He doesn't care about Cecil at this point.
Right, but this isn't the only time that he's done this, right? I think it's the first time that he's done it, but he asks Invincible for favors all the time, even though they don't like each other, all the way up to like issue 100.
Yeah, I think it's just a very interesting way to connect them.
Yeah.
Through Cecil.
Right.
You know? Because I think that this threat, Wolfman, if he is even a threat, he killed one person, is below Cecil. You know what I mean? But I guess it's Agent Hunter who works for Cecil trying to enlist and help.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So we get to see what Gary looks like, illustrated by Ryan Ottley. We get to see the Elder Brood.
And Gary,
Gary.
I mean...
who had his costume on him the whole time, apparently.
Yeah.
In that bag that he was carrying around.
Right. So, I mean, we turn the page and we're kind of flashing to what's going on with Gary right now. So he's with the Elder Brood. And they're just kind of going over everything that had happened previously. He's saying, "You survived. That's good. That's another of my tests that you've survived. Very impressive." Yeah, and Gary's just going through what he was feeling in those moments and how difficult it was.
So then the next page is Invincible saying exactly what I said, like he's not going to help him. And then essentially Hunter says, "Look, kid, you think we want to ask you for this?" Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. All right. So next page, something rumbles, like something's going on close to where they are, and Wolfman wants to investigate.
So he puts on his costume,
Yeah.
and the Elder Brood asks him, "What is that?" He's like, "Why do you need it?" And he's like, "In case I do need to save somebody." It kind of just takes the edge off.
Yeah, it downplays the whole
at
monster
this point,
image.
Wolfman is in costume. So we flashes back to Cecil and Invincible.
So Invincible does not want to take Cecil up on his offer. He's like, "No, I don't like you." And Hunter says, "Look, kid, you think we want to ask you for this? I tried to take this guy out, and I failed. He's tough, but you could probably get this guy for us in an afternoon." So essentially says, we need to take care of him, and you're overkill, but we need to get him in, like now. So Invincible agrees to go after Wolfman.
I mean, he basically says Cecil gets a call on his radio, and they say that the giant has escaped. The giant is coincidentally right around the area where Wolfman was last spotted. Mm-hmm. So he says to Invincible, "Why don't you just kill two birds with one stone?"
And he says that once you do this for me, I'll help you find out where those orbs actually came from.
Right.
So he's giving him kind of incentive to do it.
Right. So we don't find out where the orb came from because the story continues further.
Well, we know where it came from.
We know where it came from.
They don't know where it came from.
Right. Where did it come from?
What's his face? The dimensional shifts guy. Why can't I think of his name?
Angstrom Levy.
Yeah, obviously. So it's Wolfman fighting the monster that is the little kid that was cursed. Remember, he was...
Yeah, through the herbal tea. His mom made herbal tea, and it sucked him into another dimension, and he was cursed.
To be this thing.
Yeah.
So this is a little kid
but he's a giant monster, Cyclops monster. So it goes right into it, and Wolfman is already in the fight. He's already attacking him. And, the giant is basically saying, "You're hurting me. That's not fair." He's very much childlike.
So Invincible comes, hits the giant on the back of the head, and grabs Wolfman.
And flies off.
Who has worked with Invincible before. They know each other.
Yeah, they worked with Doc Seismic.
Yeah, when Doc Seismic, they actually, Wolfman and Zachariah were the reason why they were able... Oh, no. They got out, but then they got captured again. Remember? Because Zachariah went into his mist form?
Yep.
Yeah. So, Invincible
ultimately,
does
they bring him down.
They bring him down. Not a big part of what's going on here. The big part is their relationship and what goes on.
Right. So they bring him down. They leave the giant for the police to kind of apprehend, and the giant kind of gives himself up. Now, we go into conversation with...
He says it right there.
What's that?
He says, "Well, thanks. I don't think I could have handled him on my own." Wolfman says that, and then Invincible says, I owe you for helping me out with Doc Seismic a few weeks back. Yep. Still, though, I'm going to have to turn you in.
Right. And then Wolfman, tries to take off, and then Invincible's, Wolfman jumps high into the air, and then Invincible just kind of, flies up and was like... You really should the way he's flying next to him was like, really, dude?
Yeah, he's like,
really, and just kind of knocks him out. He says, "I wish you really shouldn't have run," and punches him in the face. Wolfman hits the ground.
He does the right thing here, though. He says he just needs you to listen to him, and he actually takes his armor off, reverts back into human form,
and says, "Listen, I'm vulnerable. I did not kill my wife. Please do not. Just listen to me. I need someone to believe me." He's like, it's really showing how desperate he is at this point.
Right.
How,
and if there was one person that was going to listen to someone else's side of the story, especially this time of Invincible, where he doesn't really know what's right,
it's Invincible.
It's Invincible. You know what I mean? He's going to give somebody...
Look at the desperation in Gary's face.
Yeah. Nice job, Ryan Ottley. As always. But essentially tells him the story, and Invincible believes him.
Right. But he says, "I still want to take you in. Just explain your story to the government." And Gary's very hesitant to do that. He's like, "Listen, I need to track down Zachariah. I can't give myself in right now or turn myself up right now because... I have things to do. I have more important things. I got to get back to my daughter." And Invincible convinces him, "Listen, just come with me. Explain yourself. We can straighten this out."
And they're back at the Pentagon.
And then they go back to the Pentagon.
And Cecil says he...
Wow, I didn't expect you to actually get him to come voluntarily.
Yeah.
And they basically say, he's not here to turn himself in. He's here to explain himself.
Right. And then he says, Invincible says, "I'm changing the deal. You can listen to what he has to say. That doesn't hurt anything." So essentially, Invincible just wants Cecil and Hunter to listen to Wolfman's side of the story, which they don't want to do.
Which, I mean, what happens is pretty, I feel, what's the word? Predictable. They're clearly in the White Room, right? They walk into the White Room. And they're having this whole conversation in the White Room. He tells his whole story. Him and Cecil and Invincible fight a little bit or argue a little bit.
Well, this is a cool conversation. So Invincible says, "You're telling me that you can pardon murdering psychopaths like Darkwing, but you can't even hear his story? That's insane." And in a nutshell, Cecil says, "There's nothing I can do. The story is too public."
Right.
So if it wasn't too public, damn well Cecil would be like, "Yeah, dude, Wolfman, you're fine, man. I believe you. Like, it's not even a question. In fact, I'm going to use you to my advantage." But he says it's meaningless. He has to be practical, and he needs to tell it to a jury. He wants to be tried.
Yeah.
So then what happens in the White Room? Surprise.
Reanimen pop up from everywhere, and Invincible's like, "Oh, great, this again." Yeah. And that's how that issue ends. Now we go to part 11.
Which is issue 8, 9, 10.
8. Or, I'm sorry, 9, because issue...
Oh, no, this is issue 11. This is issue 11 of Wolfman.
It is, even though the one that we just reviewed was 57 of Invincible.
Yeah. Because no, the last
So it'd
one
be
we
part
did.
10. It would be issue 10.
No, it's issue 10 was, remember the big 10 that was on the corner of Zachariah? Where am I? Go here. I have the issues right there. Look. So that's 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
Right? So this is issue 11 of the crossover. So this is a second.
Oh yeah, because it was the one that we just reviewed in the volume actually said 11 part 1. Now this is 11 part 2. So that makes sense. Yeah, so we go back to the Pentagon. You know, they're surrounded by Reanimen. They're fighting them.
Now, I loved how Ryan Ottley did Wolfman.
Yeah.
And obviously Invincible and everything in that universe, but Jason Howard, I don't really like his Invincible.
I mean, it's Jason Howard. He's very elongated.
Right.
He does everything very
but
elongated.
I just like his Wolfman, dude.
I love Jason Howard's
Reanimen. I knew you would. I
So
knew you
good.
would. Look
I
at
love that.
the veins and everything
Yeah.
like that, and
how dirty he looks.
Yeah.
And his teeth and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
So we get a pretty awesome fight of Wolfman and Invincible just decimating the Reanimen, and the way that they get out is
He basically says, you know, we should look for an opening. And then Wolfman says, I'm with you. Just clear the way and I'll follow you. And then Invincible says, the way is up. Grabs him by the underarms, lifts him up, and they blast through the top of the Pentagon.
Wolfman then
flying
says,
off. He says, this is uncomfortable. And Invincible goes,
I get that a lot.
yeah.
Love it. Very, very
Yeah,
because that's how he carries.
I mean, the ongoing joke in the beginning of the series was every time he would carry another like who was
person,
it? Yeah,
hero,
would say,
or person.
"Oh,
He
this is kinda
carried
gay,"
Titan like that.
which it's kind of a testament to say where we've come in our society. That that's kind of unacceptable now to say something like that. You know?
No, not really. I think
That it's gay to be
he doesn't say
carried?
he doesn't say that it's gay. The when he says gay is when William is in the Invincible costume with no pants on, and Mark walks in on him.
I
and
could
he's
have
like,
sworn
gay.
they said that when they were being when he was being carried, that it was gay, which is actually we've talked about this before. Weird because William
is
ends up becoming
gay.
yeah.
Right. So they're flying and they get struck.
I miss him.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
don't see him anymore.
Yeah, I do too.
I hope he's in End of All Things. He's got to be in it.
I mean, he's a loose thread. He's a friend of
Yeah, I
Mark.
know, but I
you know
wanna
what I
see
mean?
him.
Yeah, no, I
I
agree.
want
I'm agreeing with you 100%.
Do
Do you think Wolfman's going to be in End of All Things?
That'd be cool. I
That
think there's
would-
going to be like a gigantic fight with all the superheroes and everyone coming together.
Well,
So I think
presumably
he's gonna-
this is the end of the Invincible universe, right? I don't
Right.
mean like the end of the universe, but the end of like the comic.
Right.
Like there's not going to be a Guardians of the Globe. There's not going
Right.
to be like anything where Invincible's in
Well,
anything.
we don't know that for a fact, but if Invincible is going to end, I would want the Invincible universe to end.
Right, I agree. Which would mean that this would be a swan song for Tech Jacket.
Right.
This would be a swan song for Wolfman.
But Tech Jacket is still ongoing and nothing.
It's not. It's not ongoing
No?
anymore.
Oh, okay.
No, it had its series and it ended, but it ended on like he essentially Tech Jacket is. Do you want to read it? It's good. It's really good. He's very far away. He's very far away.
I know. Don't say the ending because I think that you're probably going to review it sometime on this podcast.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh yeah, I think maybe.
And I haven't read it, and maybe I will.
One of the ideas that we're having is for Tech Jacket. Once we get through maybe Wolfman, Brit's done. We finished that.
We have 2 more Wolfmans. We're gonna do Tech Jacket. We're gonna do pretty much everything in the Invincible universe. Pretty much everything.
Well,
in
I
the
haven't
Invincible
read
universe.
any of Guardians of the Globe, or which turned into the Invincible universe.
Invincible
Didn't
universe,
it?
yeah.
I read nothing of
Yeah.
that at all.
I read a lot of it, but I never finished it.
Was it written by Kirkman or was it written by somebody else?
It was Kirkman.
He did all of it.
I think that. Yes, I think he did all of it.
Or
Someone
he
might have
started
taken
it and then.
someone else finished it. I think. Anyways, back into the story.
Something as they're flying, something knocks them down, and I love this action scene right here. Again, Jason Howard doing a fantastic job. Wolfman's falling. Mark says crap. Again, doesn't swear. How I said he doesn't really swear. He says things like crap.
Invincible. We talked about this. He swears
Yeah,
all
I
the
know,
time.
but not like that. It was just lame. Whatever. So then he catches Wolfman, throws him up in the air, lands on the ground to soften Wolfman's blow. I don't think it would have really. I mean, it would have hurt Wolfman, but he would have been fine.
Right.
And it was the Guardians of the Globe.
Yep.
That came
Who are kind of bad right now. They're working for Cecil.
Well, they're not bad. They're just.
I mean, they're as bad as Cecil is. I would say.
I mean, they're not as they're the team that we're not rooting for
right
at this time in Invincible. We're rooting for like Rex, Robot, Adam Eve.
So
Invincible.
There's the Immortal, and he says, "You really didn't think that Cecil would just let you go again, did you?"
So we have the Martian guy, we have Duplicate, Immortal, Darkwing, and who's that big guy? That's with them too. I don't know. Not important. Anyways.
So yeah, they're fighting. They're trying to capture them to bring them back to Cecil. Basically, there's a huge fight. They're arguing the whole time, not really saying much. But what's funny is that they fight, and then the Immortal says something very insulting, basically just being a dick, and says, "What do you expect us to do? Do you want us to just let you take this criminal and run? Do you think that we find you intimidating? You are a child. We're the Guardians of the Globe. What the hell do you think?" And then what happens?
And then thwap. All you see is Mark grabbing Immortal by the face, swinging by the head, swinging Immortal around, and knocking out the entire Guardians
of the Globe, using the Immortal as a weapon.
Yeah, as a baseball bat, essentially.
And then just throws Immortal like he's nothing.
And then Wolfman is just like, huh. Oh, interesting. And the smug little look on Invincible's face, like, I'm no kid.
Right.
Being a kid is bullshit.
I was going to make that joke. I was just about to say that.
Which would be more relevant, because it would be like him being a little kid swearing, being a kid is bullshit. Yeah. And then they fly away. Yep. And Wolfman actually asks Invincible to take him home.
Right.
So he can talk to his daughter and...
Well, not to talk to his daughter, but it does open up with them outside of her bedroom window, and they're talking outside of her window, and he's kind of going more into his story and like what he's been through. And then a voice comes from behind them and says, "You tripped the silent alarm." And Gary says, "I know. What took you so long?" And there's Dunford in his robe and boxers. And he's saying, "I saw you on the security feed. Yeah, I figured I'd give you guys a moment alone, and I also needed to find my robe." So Gary introduces Dunford to Invincible, and they pretty much talk about, he explains himself to Dunford. "Listen, I didn't kill Rebecca. I didn't do the things that everyone says that I'm doing." And Dunford puts his arm on his shoulder, or hand on his shoulder, and says, I've known you for years. We're friends. I know you well enough that you would never do anything like that."
Mm-hmm. And Gary wants to know how Chloe's doing, and
not
Dunford,
well.
not well at all. And he's saying, I'm trying to be supportive. I know what she's going through. I don't know if I'm what she needs. I'm giving her space. She doesn't spend a lot of time here. She's still going to school, but her grades are suffering. The school knows the situation. There you go. The situation, i.e., he's Wolfman and killed. They're being very understanding. She's just so angry. She doesn't talk to me. I've tried to get her to open up to me, but nothing seems to work. I don't know what to do.
And he says, I don't know if I should kind of try and convince her that you're good. And he says, Gary says, "No, don't do that. Let her be angry, because if you try to push her, it's just going to drive a wedge between the two of you, and you don't want that.
Right.
We're going to do what we can to try and clear my name, and then she'll see that I'm a good person and that I am, her father, and I love her, and I would never do anything like that to Rebecca," who was his wife. So Invincible and them fly off again after saying goodbye to Dunford. Invincible drops him off into the woods where the Elder Brood is waiting in the shadows. Invincible, they say their goodbyes, and Invincible flies off.
And then it goes back to the Pentagon. So, yes, identity confirmed. It's Gary Hampton. We've got a fix on his location. We're monitoring the satellites. We've got a clear view. Stand by for instructions by Cecil. And then essentially says he doesn't want Agent Hunter to go in. They know where he is. And they still might be able to use him He might still prove useful. So we'll just kind of stand back and watch what he does since he's in the woods. He's not harming anybody right now.
Right.
So this is the last comic in this volume. It is issue 12. So again, this was a shorter volume. It only had 6 issues in it compared to the 7 that are normally in them, especially in the first volume.
They tend to drop after the first volume.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do they? I know other volumes have 6.
I feel like the first volume always has like 1 or 2 extra than the other volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is weird. But which is weird because as the volumes go up, I mean the first volume was always cheap. I feel like the first volume is always cheaper than the second, third, and fourth, and so on. Anyways, so issue 12.
We get a truck that is outside Chicago, Illinois, about a mile away from Stronghold Penitentiary. So it's a truck that is housing. Do you remember the characters' names?
Yes.
Construct.
Well, I think that we're just now being introduced to Construct.
No, we've seen Construct before.
Have we?
Well, Construct was fighting the Actioneers. Remember, that's yeah.
Oh, you're right.
And then he tore the head off, and it was her inside of it, and then they're like, oh well, thank you.
Yeah.
So this is the second time we've seen Construct.
We see Thrill Kill, and we see Eruptor, aka Erector, as the press likes to call him, and pisses him off.
Yep.
They're in a truck being transported.
They're not nice people.
They're in restraints.
Kill. What's his name? Thrill Kill. Thrill Kill is saying, who is this talking to Eruptor, referring to Construct, saying maybe it's bait, maybe they want us to kill her for some reason or something along those lines. The truck gets not attacked but stopped by this thing falling out of the sky, which is one of Construct's robots. It's like her suit. And she helps them escape. So we get... this essentially right here is our rogues gallery for Wolf-Man.
Wolf-Man right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're building that up.
We have Construct. We have Thrill Kill. We have Eruptor. We have Zachariah. The
Giant was in this volume.
Yeah, but he's not really a rogues gallery. He's not like a villain
but at the same time, I mean, it's Invincible Universe villains. They all kind of
Is Angstrom Levy a Wolfman villain?
No,
but he's a rogues gallery for Invincible.
All of these kind of characters, all of these kind of villain characters, they pass between Invincible Universe and Guardians of the Globe.
But they were introduced in Wolfman, and they are Wolfman's villains. That's why she when they go back to the lair, she's like, who do we want to go after? And they're all like Wolfman. It's because Wolfman. They're the rogues gallery for Wolfman.
Do you really like saying rogues gallery?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Why have I said it? I said it.
You said it 1 or 2 times.
1 or 2 times?
Or 6.
So the rogues gallery is introduced. So now we go to more of training. So Wolfman is in costume fighting the Elder Brood, and he's essentially kind of
kicking the Elder Brood's ass.
Not kicking his ass, just dodging everything.
Yeah, he's keeping up with them. No problem.
He says either I'm getting faster or you're getting slower. He's like, don't go easy on me.
And then the Elder Brood says, we're done. And I'm thinking when I first read this, like, oh shit, like Wolfman's kicking his ass, and he's getting kind of upset about it. Turns out that's not the case. He says, Wolfman says, really? Normally we practice till like dawn, and you run me ragged. And he says, no, we're not done today. We're done in general.
I've taught you all I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just takes the fuck off and was like later and never sees him again.
Not before he says, once you leave my forest, do not return. You will not be welcome. What was that?
You will not be welcome.
Right. And then Wolfman says, what the? Never mind. You ruined it. So then Wolfman is literally like just standing there in the middle of the woods like, well, what do I do now? Like, he doesn't think that he's ready to fight Zachariah. He doesn't know.
I don't think that. I think it was just very abrupt that the Elder Brood just like left his ass, and he was like, oh well, now what do I do? Like, do I go after Zachariah? Like, is it that simple? So, yeah, that's all.
So what do we get now? What's the next page? Who are we looking at?
Elsewhere, Construct, Thrill Kill, and Eruptor arrive at an undisclosed location.
So the Rogues Gallery for for Wolfman.
Not the entire Rogues Gallery, just part of the Rogues Gallery.
Rogues Gallery.
Rogues Gallery. So yeah,
Roadhouse.
they're at an undisclosed location.
Construct space of operations. Yeah.
You know, and they're talking, and Thrill Kill is very like, she's talking like, this is what we're gonna do. Make yourselves at home. Don't touch anything. I'll be in this room doing this. Acting very much like a leader, which is kind of pissing off Thrill Kill.
And Eruptor. Eruptor's the one who said, you know, when did we start working for her? When did we agree upon that? And then Thrill Kill says, I never did.
And then slices his throat open. Slices Eruptor's throat open. Lava's coming out, like pouring out of his throat, and he's choking, and it shows him fall to the ground, and just lava, which is essentially his blood, is getting everywhere, and he's, you know, dying. And
Thrill Kill says, I work alone, sorry, and he's like, oh, I think I'm going to like my new hideout, and he's going to go in there and kill Construct.
Right, so he busts the door down, he runs in, and he says, you know, she says, I thought I told you not to come in here, and he lunges at her.
She doesn't move.
Right, she's like almost like smiling as he's lunging towards her, and he says, sorry, this is my place now. And then Eruptor comes from behind and says, don't worry, lady, I've got you covered.
And he's got a cool, wicked
Blasts
scar.
Him with lava.
Yeah, but he's got a cool scar on his throat.
Yeah.
That healed pretty quickly. And he even said, you know, it's going to take more than a sliced throat to kill me. He says that we're even. You know, you rescued us. Yeah, you broke us out. And I saved your life.
And
so
she said, no, you didn't save my life. So she's a badass.
And then she's like, Construct, I want you, or Thrill Kill, attack me again.
Work through the pain and try to attack me.
Try to get me.
He stands up and says, you asked for this, and he reaches after her and to slice her with his arm blade, and it's like a force field kind of breaks his.
It's
blades.
A laser array, is what she calls it.
Laser beam.
That only protects
quote,
her.
Unquote, laser beam.
That only protects her when she's there in her hideout.
Right.
Because she says,
it detects her surrounding. No, nothing can ever touch me while I'm here.
Nothing. Yeah. This is interesting. So Thrill Kill says, "You bitch. It'll take weeks for these to grow back."
I don't think that they've ever said the word bitch in the entire Invincible. I don't think Robert Kirkman has ever put.
Yeah,
really?
Mark. Yeah, because Mark, the one time when he was reading a comic book, he was like, and as he was fighting with his mom, he's like, "You're a bitch, mom." He's like, "Being a kid is bullshit."
When did he say that?
He didn't. I'm making a joke.
Oh, okay.
They've said bitch in here before.
I don't think I've ever heard the word bitch.
They've
said fuck a million times.
You don't think Eve has ever Eve called?
I just can't think of it. When I read the word bitch, I was like, it took me out of the story. I was like, I don't know if I've ever. I don't know. It sounded weird to me. If you guys can think of any time in the Invincible universe ever that anybody has ever said the word bitch, screenshot that shit and email it to us or message it to us on Facebook. And we'll talk about it.
And for getting it, if you're the first one that sent it to us, you get a prize. And that prize is us reading what you find on the next podcast.
We'll say your first name.
We will say your first name in a sexy voice and a sexy we'll get really close to the mic like this, like right here. And I'll say her name.
Don't give away too much though. Don't turn them on too much. They got to actually send it in before they
send that shit in.
Send it in.
Send in a screenshot of the word bitch in
the Invincible universe. Anywhere in the Invincible universe.
Anywhere in the Invincible universe. So it could be in Wolfman again.
Yeah.
So anywhere earlier than this moment right here.
It has to be earlier than this moment.
Not after.
Not after.
So
it has to be before this moment in Wolfman, or anywhere else in the entire Invincible universe, even up to this point in Invincible.
No, because
he never says bitch in all of Invincible. We're currently on issue 133 is currently out.
Or it.
Huh?
Or anybody in Invincible.
I don't think anybody has ever uttered the word bitch.
I feel like Monster Girl maybe has, or another girl.
We're going to leave it up to the Invincible podcast listeners.
To you out there, who you know who you are. You want your name said like this close to the mic.
Hardcore. And we'll stick a pin in it.
All right, so Gary's traveling. He's going to St. Louis. And we see a panel of Zachariah's home. So it doesn't have to be, this is Zachariah talking to Chloe. It doesn't have to be that way. I know it wouldn't be easy for you. Lure him to me. I can do it for you. Easy. It'll be done. Trust me. Chloe is saying, I have to kill my father. It's the only way. And Zachariah is trying to talk her out of it for whatever reason. He's such a confusing character. Like, he's evil because he wants to make a vampire empire. He's a coward because he's not telling Chloe the truth or anybody the truth. But he still tries to protect Chloe.
Yep.
For whatever reason. And Chloe's saying, I need to be faster, I need to be stronger, and then...
He's saying there are ways that we can make this happen, if you're willing. And then it shows his teeth, his vampire teeth.
Yeah, but we know... Right? Isn't she not a vampire? Or did she choose...
I don't remember.
I think she just uses his blood. Like, she just drinks his blood to, like, be faster in that moment, but it fades.
I thought she became one.
It's like when people drink V in True Blood.
Yeah.
Right? Like, vampire blood as a drug.
They kind of, like, get high, though. And it heals them quicker.
Does it heal them quicker?
It heals them quicker, and they just get high from it if they drink too much of it.
Right. So Construct's hideout. So she made Thrill Kill and Eruptor new costumes, and she says, you know, we could rob a bank, we could do whatever, but we need to make a name for ourselves. We need to kill a hero. Who do you want to kill? And they both at the same time say Wolfman. And she says, I was hoping you'd say that because I know exactly where he is, and she's watching a news feed of him in the woods fighting the big Cyclops monster.
Yep.
So that's where they're going.
And it goes back to Gary's, house, or the Wolfman lair.
Well, this is funny. This is Kirkman being funny. Are you ready?
Oh.
So she says, I was hoping you'd say that because I know exactly where Wolfman is. And she thinks that exact place is in the woods.
Right,
where he just was.
There.
And then the next panel, it says, the West Edge Outlet Center, and it says exactly where Wolfman is, and it's nowhere near where they think that he is.
That he actually is.
So very funny. And he's in the wolf lair. Yeah.
Cecil comes through a portal, and Gary immediately turns into Wolfman. And he says, "You don't need to wolf out. I'm. If I was here to obtain you, I would have come with more people." And they start talking. He's saying, "Listen, I believe your story and I want to help you, but I can't do it publicly because we're the Pentagon. We can't help you publicly."
He says, "I can't help you.
I can't. Of the law.
I can't help you with the authorities. If you get caught, you're caught. Like, I can't help you, but I do believe you. I do believe that you did not kill your wife, and that you're innocent." And so he says, "And I'm going to help you." And we don't know how yet because it essentially ends very soon. And he says, "God help you if I'm wrong." And Wolfman says, "Wait, there was a restraint device here, which is why he's in that place."
Yeah,
I think is the only reason why he's there.
The full moon is coming.
Right. And I'm going to need that soon. Can you get it for me? And then Cecil says with a little smile on his face, "I'll see what I can do." And then it's just Wolfman left alone.
Remembering.
Heartbroken.
Because that's the last time he was there was when his wife died.
Yep. And so then we see the Rogues Gallery of Construct, Thrill Kill, and
They're
Eruptor.
actually called. They name themselves. They're called
the three something.
The Triple Threat.
Triple Threat, yeah. Yeah, the Triple Threat. So this is kind of cool because they're flying towards the woods, and Thrill Kill says like, "Oh God, the ship, it's breaking apart," and Construct says, "Of course it is," and essentially the ship turns into her suit, which then catches them midair, Eruptor and Thrill Kill.
Yep.
And their plan. Oh, then it's a really quick shot of Wolfman
going to visit Rebecca's gravesite.
Like a month, I would say a month after
probably.
actual
right.
The actual
pans
funeral.
Back to the Triple Threat team just destroying the forest and
just fighting the woods.
And they're saying, where is he? We have to find him. And she says, Construct says, "Just keep destroying the forest. He'll hear us and he'll come eventually."
But yeah, she says if we'll make enough noise. This I didn't like this. I thought this was so stupid. She's just hitting rocks. In the background, Thrill Kill is just chopping at like shrubs.
Yeah.
Like he's just chopping shit. It's stupid. But then he says this is going to take all night. And then she says, "I wouldn't be so sure." And guess who is in the woods?
The Elder Brood.
The
and
Elder
he comes
Brood.
out, like, if I were to see this, if I were to see the Elder Brood in this fashion, lunging at me, screaming, "You dare to face my forest? This is an outrage." He looks terrifying, and they look terrifying.
They do. They all do.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I don't think that's Wolfman. And back at the cemetery, so Gary's saying his apologies to...
He's crying.
Yeah, to his deceased wife. And at the bottom of the page, it's touching, really very touching. I would know... I got to listen to about the whole thing.
And
Someone
you turn
talking
the
off
page,
page.
and it's Hunter. And
Hunter
a
and a SWAT team. Yep. While we were waiting for the sun to come up, you're under arrest, Gary Hampton. And that's how Volume 2
ends.
With the assumed arrest of Wolfman.
Yep.
Which, if you guys read Invincible, which obviously you do if you listen to this podcast, I can't imagine anybody who listens to this podcast that doesn't, but you've seen Wolfman in jail during the Invincible War when all the Invincibles are attacking.
Yep.
And do you remember Thrill Kill escapes and Wolfman stops him?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like Wolfman is in Gary is in an orange jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Turns into Wolfman and is fighting all the inmates to stay in jail.
Yeah.
Like, and he's not escaping. He's like, no, you get back here. And he says, you get back here, and then he gets zapped by... Do you remember who?
Was it Rex?
No.
Who gets zapped? Wolfman gets zapped?
Wolfman gets zapped. He points to somebody off screen, and he says, you get back here. You're not going anywhere. And then
What's
he gets
his name?
electrocuted.
Electrocutioner?
Powerplex.
Or Powerplex, that's what I meant. I meant Powerplex.
And then Powerplex is like, oh, I have plans, not now, but soon. So Powerplex electrocutes Wolfman.
Yeah.
Which, is that in here?
I don't think so. I think that
Do you
they
think
touch
that's in Wolfman?
they touch base on it, like they talk about when it happened very quickly.
Because do you
it's
remember
not
the
in it.
face is coming in? Do you remember the face? Do you remember anything about him in jail at all?
Did you reread this recently?
No.
New reader?
No, it's not in there. No, because I remember the big beats, like the big like things that happen.
Yeah.
Remember the guy that's got a thing over his face and he's like got like two eyes that are really far apart?
Yep.
So I remember that happening, but I don't remember because the prison was destroyed. Everything was destroyed during the Invincible War, but I don't remember that happening in Wolfman.
Yeah.
Which is weird. So that's it. That's our review of the Astounding Wolf-Man Volume 2, which, again, had issues 8 through 12 of Wolfman and issue 57
of
Invincible.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for Volume 3. It'll probably be coming out within the next maybe month or two.
Yeah.
We kind of do that in between our new readers, in between our new issues. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that. You can email us at the Invincible Podcast
at gmail.com.
You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube. We're standing right behind you. Turn around. We're standing right behind you.
Turn around right now.
Gotcha.
Gotcha, bitch. See how quick we were, TJ? They thought they could turn around fast enough, and we were fucking gone.
I'm in the backseat of your truck.
We were
Duck
gone.
the fuck way down. Waiting to straight jump out and put something over your face. What now?
Something
want me to
over your
watch
face,
my
what?
Want me to watch my mouth? How? Take my fucking eyeballs out and turn them around? I'll burn your fucking house down, circle around, and hit the hydrant so you can't put your burning furniture out.
Is this Eminem?
Yeah.
Is this Eminem? Because that's all that you know, I'm sure.
It's the only rap I've ever listened to in my life.
So again, guys, two things. We want to know if the swear word bitch was uttered anywhere in the Invincible universe, anywhere in the Invincible, well, in Wolfman prior to what we just read, so before issue 12, or anywhere at all in the comic book Invincible.
Try and find it.
And you win a prize of us saying your name like this.
Oh,
baby.
Joshua.
Oh, baby.
Joshua.
And also, guys, again, this is our 4th episode, or maybe our 3rd episode that has been a non-Invincible book. So give us your feedback. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know if there's something else you want us to do in it, or if you guys have another suggestion of what you'd like us to do. Bagoo it. All right, that's it. TJ, anything else for the gang?
goodbye and have a pleasant morrow.
Good day to you, sir. And we out.